The origin sad story of the Skibidi Toilet. Skibidi Toilet was not always like this. Once upon a time, there was a plumber named Skibidi. Skibidi was a happy person living with his family. Skibidi had a son and wanted to be a plumber like his father. Skibidi and his son had come to a house for work. The water pipe in the toilet had burst. Skibidi and her son got very wet because of the burst. Skibidi fixed the toilet and they set off for home. That evening, they had a nice dinner together. At midnight, the phone suddenly rang. The man on the phone was asking for help with his toilet. Skibidi said that it was late and that he could come early in the morning. When the man on the phone insisted, Skibidi had to leave. Before leaving, Skibidi kissed his son and left. The man's house was in a deserted and unsafe place. Skibidi pressed the bell and the man opened the door. He told Skibidi that the toilet was broken and showed him where the toilet was. Skibidi entered the toilet and the door was locked behind him. After that, no one saw the Skibidi again.
Titan cameraman was not always like this. This is origin sad story of Titan cameraman. Once upon a time, there was a successful reporter who loved his job. This reporter became popular for his successful reporting. He was very good at his job and won many awards. He has been in many dangerous areas to report the news. At that time, the Skibidi chaos had begun in the world. Reporter was offered a very risky job. He had to investigate the source of the Skibidi toilets. The colonel invited him to his office to explain the details of the assignment. He gave him a secret file. Reporter took the file and went home. His wife and child met him at the door and hugged him. The wife was frightened when she saw the secret file in the reporter's hand. Because she realized that he had to go on a secret mission. The reporter and his wife hugged tightly. Maybe it was the last hug. Everyone was very happy at dinner. After dinner, the reporter went to his room and opened the secret file. The file showed the locations of the epicenter of the Skibidi toilets. Our reporter now realized that this mission was dangerous. The epicenter of the Skibidi toilets was on an island. The next day, reporter went to the port to buy a ticket for a ship to that island. But no ships were sailing to this island. So reporter had to hire a boat. And he set off alone in a rowboat for the deserted island. Lightning was flashing and huge waves were everywhere. Against all odds, reporter made it to the island. When the reporter arrived on the island, all he wanted to do was sleep. Because he was very tired on the road. The reporter fell asleep on the beach. Reporter, when he woke up, his hands and feet were tied. A shadow appeared in front of the reporter. And the voice was heard. Skibidi Toilets caught the reporter. The Skibidi Toilets left the room, leaving reporter alone. The reporter tried to escape but was unsuccessful. A cutting tool fell from the ventilation shaft next to the reporter to untie the rope. Someone had come to rescue the reporter. After the ropes on the reporter's hands were untied, he untied the rope on his feet. The man who helped our reporter from the vent knocked the reporter unconscious. When the reporter opened his eyes, he was tied to a machine. The person who saved him was standing in front of him, the cameraman. He said the state brought the reporter here on purpose. He turned on the machine to which the reporter was connected, and the reporter started to transform. The reporter was now a Titan cameraman. To be continued. Speakerman was not always like this. This is Origin Sad Story of Speakerman. Once upon a time there was a rapper who loved music.
Yo, get this!
He was not very popular, but he loved his work.
That's a wrap.
Because he was not popular, performed his music on the street. Everyone who listened to him loved his music and donated to him. He made a living from his music on the street. He lived alone in an old apartment. At home he wrote lyrics and recorded his music. It was the only thing he loved in life. The next day he was back on the streets. A man approached him while he was rapping.
Hello?
The man started taking a video of the rapper. The rapper was very happy because people liked his music. But life was not so easy for the rapper. He could not even pay his rent anymore. He was making very little money by rapping, and he was thinking of quitting rapping. The next day he went out on the street to make music for the last time. As he was walking, someone asked to take a picture with him.
Hey,
The rapper did not break her heart and accepted the offer, but he was very surprised. He asked why she wanted to take a photo with him. She said she wanted to take a picture with him because he was famous.
hey,
And she showed him the video with millions of views in one day.
Wow!
The rapper was very happy because his dreams had come true. Hundreds of people came to the park that day to listen to the rapper. He made a lot of money that day and paid his rent with the money he earned. The rapper is now performing in small venues. People loved his songs and had a lot of fun. After the concert, he was approached by a manager and offered bigger jobs. Rapper agreed and they signed a contract. Manager handed the rapper a check for a big concert. The rapper was now a millionaire.
I'm a millionaire!
He now had a more magnificent house. In his new house, he watched the news on TV. Skibidi Toilet chaos had begun in the news. The rapper was afraid to even go outside during the Skibidi chaos. But the concert had to go ahead because of the contract. The day of the concert came and rapper was taken to concert in a private car. There were a lot of cameramen at the concert venue, and they welcomed him on the red carpet. The rapper was very cool and confident walking the red carpet. It was concert time and rapper went to concert. The concert was going so great. Suddenly, a familiar voice came over the loudspeakers. Everyone started screaming in fear. Rapper got scared and hid. Skibidi toilets came in through the door. In the chaos, the wires of the speakers had broken and they were shooting electricity. One of these cables hit the rapper and he was electrocuted. Rapper was electrocuted and smoke rose. The concert area was completely destroyed. Speakerman came out of the destruction. Speakerman was ready to fight the Skibidi toilets. To be continued. TV woman was not always like this. This is Origin Sad Story of TV Woman. Once upon a time, There was a very successful woman pilot in the Air Force named Captain Sadie. Sadie graduated top of her class from the military academy. She specialized in electrical components, aircraft technology, and mechanical engineering. She flew many missions abroad as a pilot. Sadie has been in war zones and some of the most dangerous airspace in the world. She was awarded the Distinguished Service Medal for successfully completing many missions. She also communicates very well with people and is a sociable personality. One day, while she was maintaining a fighter jet, there was breaking news on TV. The news showed that the Skibidi Toilets had attacked the world and chaos had begun. Government officials called an emergency meeting.
We will meet again.
The Air Force decided to organize an operation to protect the city, and Sadie was assigned to it. Sadie got into the cockpit and the operation began. Sadie and her team started nuking the Skibidi Toilets in the city. They captured a baby Skibidi Toilet and locked it in the headquarters. Sadie and her team's aim was to experiment on this Skibidi Toilet and develop a weapon against them. A team of scientists and engineers, including Sadie, began experiments and research. Many attempts have been made, but nothing came out. All hope was about to be lost.
Oh no.
The government decided to stop the experiments.
Stop it!
Sadie and her team were very angry because they almost found the solution. Sadie got angry and punched a TV nearby. The TV screen was broken, but Sadie had discovered something. Seeing the television screen, the baby Skibidi Toilet started screaming and dying. Sadie and her team began to develop a weapon using the television radiation. Humanity was on the brink of extinction. A new hope for humanity was born. Television rays were harmful to Skibidi Toilets and killed them. The television had to be processed to become a weapon. That's why Sadie and her team needed a television. But the Skibidi Toilets had destroyed almost all televisions. Sadie and her team decided to military operation again. They had to find a television. The team found a television in a shopping mall and brought it to headquarters. They had to produce the weapon immediately. Because the Skibidi Toilets were coming to the headquarters in droves. The weapon was almost complete. Sadie was about to assemble the last piece. The Skibidi Toilets broke through the doors. Skibidi Toilets broke through the doors and attacked the TV weapon. But they activated the weapon. Sadie was exposed to a lot of TV radiation. There was dark smoke all around, and there was a woman in the smoke. This person was Captain Sadie, but she was TV woman now. The TV woman started attacking all the Skibidi Toilets around. Skibidi Toilets didn't stand a chance against him. TV woman disappeared in a puff of black smoke after destroying all the Skibidi Toilets. The TV woman was humanity's last hope against Skibidi Toilet chaos. Skibidi Toilets were not always like this. This is Origin Sad Story of Skibidi Toilets. Once upon a time, there was an island far from the city, isolated from the outside world. Escaping from this island was almost impossible because it was difficult to reach. There is a sanatorium on the island for people who have lost their mental health. Only the mentally ill people who were advanced and harmful to society stayed on this island. These patients could not be cured for years and lived in this hospital. A health research and application company called AIMCO bought this sanatorium for their experiments and research. AIMCO was known as a company that aimed to treat the severely mentally ill. But it was a horrific company that produced mass biological weapons and experimented on orphans. It was not known who owned AIMCO or who it worked for. They wanted to genetically modify people and turn them into an army of monsters. They were injecting people with the chemicals they had developed. If the experiments failed, They threw them into the sea. There was a doctor at the hospital, Jeremy, who specialized in genetics. Dr. Jeremy had been working for Amco for years and was one of the most trusted people in the company. Dr. Jeremy had made a discovery that would change human history. He created a genetic link between humans and toilets and turned it into a vaccine. They called it Siphonium and chose a patient for the first experiment. Dr. Jeremy injected the patient with Siphonium. At first, the patient did not react and lost consciousness. Then the patient's body turned into a toilet, but his head was still the same. He was unconscious and started attacking everything around him. They called him Skibidi Toilet. Security forces tranquilized and captured the Skibidi Toilet and locked him in a safe place. Dr. Jeremy was so scared. This thing could be the end of humanity. Amco had achieved its aim. They had finally invented a biological weapon. With Siphonium, they could create an army and have everything. Dr. Jeremy thought his discovery would bring about the end of humanity. That's why he thought no one should have it and should be destroyed. Amco's top executives held a meeting with Dr. Jeremy. The executives asked Jeremy for a dozen Skibidi toilets. Dr. Jeremy had to accept it because he was afraid of the executives. Jeremy thought differently from them and came up with a plan to destroy the Siphonium once and for all. He went to his room at night and couldn't sleep all night. Until today, he thinks about the people he caused to die for the sake of experiments. And now maybe the world was about to end. The next day, Dr. Jeremy and his team assembled in the lab. They were preparing to build a dozen Skibidi toilets. Dr. Jeremy was afraid because his plan could get him killed. Security forces brought a dozen mental patients to the lab. Dr. Jeremy prepared the Siphonium and filled the syringe. He was about to inject the patient, but Dr. Jeremy threw the syringe on the floor and it broke. The security forces immediately arrested Jeremy. Jeremy was laughing because the siphonium on the floor could no longer be used. But there was something Jeremy didn't know. Dr. Jeremy's team had secretly produced siphonium. The guards tied Jeremy to the bed. Doctors injected Jeremy with siphonium. Dr. Jeremy was no longer human. He was a Skibidi Toilet. TV Man was not always like this. This is Origin Sad Story of TV Man. Once upon a time, there was a technical service master named Tony who specialized in television technology and electrical components. Tony had his own shop where he provided services to people. In the past, Tony was actually a high mechanical engineer and a manager in the production department of a company that manufactured high-tech weapon systems. Tony designed the weapons used by many armies around the world. Tony didn't know who was using these weapons he designed. He was just doing his job. Tony met Jessica, who worked in the marketing department at the same company, and they fell in love. Jessica explained that these weapons are sold to people with evil intentions. Tony and Jessica quit their jobs in that factory, but it was very dangerous. The company could do bad things to them. So they fled the country and settled in a small town in another country. Tony supported his family from this small technology shop. Then one morning Tony and his wife had breakfast, and Tony left the house to go to work. Tony opened his shop and waited for his customers. A man in a suit came to his shop. Tony became agitated. The man said he knew Tony and was a fan of his and offered him a job. Tony flatly refused and told the man not to come back.
Go.
The man in suit told Tony that he had no choice and knocked him out and put a sack over his head. Everything was dark for Tony. He only heard the sound of the sea and realized he was on a ship. They opened Tony's eyes and brought him to an island isolated from the world, with no communication. Tony and Jessica were sitting with their hands tied. A man in suit came up to them. They brought him something he had never seen before, a Skibidi Toilet. There were so many Skibidi toilets on this island. The man in suit offered Tony a new job. He said that if he developed a weapon that could turn humans into Skibidi toilets, Tony and his wife Jessica could survive. Otherwise, he would kill them both. Tony had to agree to this offer. They locked Tony in a dark workshop and he started working. Tony knew that this weapon could spell the end of humanity. But Tony had a plan. He wasn't going to make the Skibidi toilet weapon. He was going to turn it into a weapon that would give him superhuman powers and save his wife. But he had limited supplies and a television. He was going to design a weapon using television radiation. Tony stepped up his work. He had to save his wife. The man in the suit came to check on Tony. When he came in, the room was empty. Tony was hiding in a corner of the room. Suddenly, a shadow appeared behind the man. When the man turned around, he was punched in the face. Tony was the one who threw the punch. The security guards saw the unconscious man on the floor. They unlocked the warehouse where they kept the Skibidi toilets. The Skibidi toilets were now free, and they entered Tony's workshop. Suddenly there was a flash of light and screams from the workshop. Tony was no longer human. He was TV Man. To be continued. Hydra Skibidi Toilet was not always like this. This is Origin Sad Story of Hydra Skibidi Toilet. Once upon a time, there was a famous pop band called Hydra. They played concerts all over the world. People loved them. Every member of Hydra grew up together. They loved each other very much and were like brothers. But there was a terrible truth behind it. Years ago, a music company adopted some children from an orphanage and promised them a great future. The kids were grown great. They went to the best music schools. This music company was a family to them because they were so wonderful to them. When the boys turned 20, they formed a band called Hydra. The company made them sign a contract for management. They trusted the company very much. But the terrible realities had begun. The company had the children operated on for their voices and faces. Every day they were forced to go to concerts by the company.
You're not the boss!
After the concerts, they were kept in a closed area that was difficult to live in. They were given limited food and water. Hydra had almost forgotten the outside world, and all hope was lost. They were all fitted with electronic handcuffs to prevent their escape. The whole world adored Hydra. Concert tickets were sold out immediately. But no one knew they were in trouble. After a concert, one of the band members got out of handcuffs and managed to escape. His plan was to tell people everything and save his friends. After escaping, he shared everything on social media. People didn't believe him because the company denied it. The company captured this man and brought him to his other friends. In front of his friends, they injected him with a liquid called siphonium, and he began to transform. His body was a toilet, but his head was the same. He was now a Skibidi Toilet. His friends were so scared by this that they swore they would continue their work. The company announced that the person who left the group did so voluntarily. Hydra continued to perform. There was no one on Earth who didn't know Hydra. They have won many important awards.
Wow!
The company was making a lot of money with Hydra. Hydra wrote lyrics asking people for help. But nobody understood them. Everybody was just listening to the songs. Hydra's living conditions became more difficult, and several of the group fell ill. The group feared the company, but they had no freedom left. They had no choice but to escape.
Will someone please help me?
After another concert, they came back to where they were staying. Everyone in the group got out of handcuffs and managed to escape. They decided to organize a press conference. At the press conference, they described the company as a terrible organization. Hydra thought they were free now, and they were happy. But the company had made a lot of money and was very powerful. The press conference was never broadcast anywhere, and the company caught the group. The company said they didn't need them anymore and tied them up in a dark place. They injected all the members of Hydra with a liquid called siphonium. Hydra turned into a toilet with several heads in one body. They were no longer human. They were Hydra Skibidi Toilet.
My style is ridiculous.
Titan TV Man was not always like this. This is Origin Sad Story of Titan TV Man. Once upon a time, there was an astronaut named Bruce who worked at the International Center for Aeronautics and Space Exploration. Bruce was a pilot in the Air Force for many years. He majored in aerospace at the Officers Academy. Then he went to the Space Research Center and participated in various extraterrestrial missions. He is one of the organization's most experienced pilots and operations manager. The International Space Research Center had found something that would shape human history. Bruce and his team had discovered life on a planet they named Siphon 42. They didn't yet know what this life form looked like, so a team was formed to investigate. This team decided to go to Siphon 42 and set up a base there. The team was led by Captain Bruce and included several Air Force officers and research assistants. The preparations to go to Siphon 42 were now complete.
Booster ignition is go.
Everyone boarded the spacecraft and liftoff took place. After a few weeks of traveling, the crew landed on Siphon 42. The first thing Bruce and his team did was to set up a base on Siphon 42. Then they began to explore the environment. The team encountered a species they had never seen before. The body of this creature was a toilet, but its head looked like a human. They called them Skibidi Toilets. They had aggressive behavior, and they needed to set a trap to catch them. Bruce and his team prepared a trap. Eventually, a Skibidi Toilet was caught in this trap. They took this Skibidi Toilet back to the base and started doing research on it.
All systems 5x5.
During the research, they were using a television screen to communicate with the world. But for some reason the connection was lost and the television screen was broken. When the Skibidi Toilet saw this screen image, it started to hurt and scream. The team discovered that television rays were damaging Skibidi Toilets. Skibidi Toilet died when exposed to the television rays. There were loud screams coming from outside. The team was terrified. Outside, an army of Skibidi Toilets was coming to attack the base. They broke through the gates of the base. Captain Bruce grabbed his gun and took his position to defend the base. But the Skibidi Toilets were so numerous, it was impossible to defeat them. The Skibidi Toilets had destroyed everyone and everything. Captain Bruce was the only one left. Cut off from the world, all alone. He had only one plan in mind: to destroy the Skibidi Toilets. He didn't have enough supplies or weapons. He only had a television. He tried to design a laser weapon using the television radiation. Finally, he designed the laser gun and set out to destroy the Skibidi Toilets. The weapon worked great, but there were too many of them and Captain Bruce lost. The weapon he designed exploded during the battle, and the captain was exposed to too much television radiation. Bruce suddenly transformed into a human body with a TV head. Now he wanted revenge on all Skibidi Toilets. He was no longer human. He was a Titan TV man.